I'm BECCA Flood, and my brand is also BECCA Flood. I was actually 19, so it was 4 years ago. I was a sophomore in college. It was right before the pandemic hit. And there were just some people from like my hometown and some people that were in my classes that really liked my work, especially because I was probably one of the only people in my friend group of designers that was doing things that were more ready to wear and less avant-garde. So they were things that my friends could afford to buy and they could represent kind of every day. It was really important to me that my first couple of pieces were accessible to my direct community and weren't astronomically expensive or impractical. That meant a lot to me when I first started. I initially was very function over fashion, but now I kind of dabble in both for sure. But so I was 19, and by age 19, I felt like I had lived so much life and had so much experience. I grew up down the road from my aunt's barn, so by 7 years old I was helping to raise horses as they were being born. I knew how to give different animals different shots. I was really just involved in kind of rural life in a sense. And then from there I traveled the country with my mom showing dogs, and I just had all these different experiences that felt well beyond a lot of my peers, just in terms of the amount of it all. And so I felt like I needed some place to put all of those memories and those experiences, both good and bad feelings about all of it. So I kind of used fashion as my spare room in a sense of where I put everything that I either haven't found peace with yet, or I'm just still kind of working through or thinking about or exploring. Yeah, so the name of the collection is Hive Mind. And because a hive mind is typically a cult or a group of people that all think the same, even if they are themselves individuals. And I think sometimes I say that my brain is ran by a hive mind, by a bunch of little people who are all very different, but all trying to run one being. And so each look of the 8 that I chose to showcase are very different from the next in terms of silhouette, but all kind of pulled together and align in color. Everything is either a red, a brown, a blue. There's a little bit of orange, some green as well, and no pinks, no purples, no yellows. But there's everything from kind of sleek, slender looks, similar to what I'm wearing now. The skirt will be on the runway, to also there's a big hoop skirt with a peplum and a whole overcoat. So there's definitely a range, and it's just supposed to kind of represent the multiplicity of the self. I feel like I am one of them, but to just keep making and to always have the big picture in mind, but don't let the big picture intimidate you and scare you, and to just break it down into small accomplishable tasks and little things at a time. And to money is obviously a huge thing when starting a brand. Is you need a foundation of money. In my case, I still work a 9 to 5, and I think a lot of people think they have to wait till they can support themselves fully on their own to start, and I don't think that's the case. I work 9 to 5 for someone else in fashion and myself the rest of the time. And it's nice. It gives me, a kind of break from both, but overall just keep making, whether it's with, pen and paper or a napkin and coffee, just keep making something. I think my collection or my brand as a whole stands out because I'm not really interested in appealing to like the urban markets in the typical way. I'm not very like punk or alternative. I kind of look to represent like the rural Northeast of America more accurately than it is in media. When people think rural, they think of the South or the West and of cowboys and of like, you know, a lot of very specific connotations and points in history. Whereas like, you know, rural Northeast doesn't really get explored, but it is its own little place when you get out of the city and